Cabinets, doors, and even the gym floor are being pulled out of this beloved church and repurposed before it's razed.
Moving that way.
To make way for what's regarded as the most sacred of structures for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a temple, the Feather River, California Temple.
Yuba City, California.
President Nelson announced plans in 2018 to build a 38,000 square foot temple here, a location that has served Latter-day Saints well for more than 40 years.
Many people have felt like this ground is sacred, and when you walk around it, you can feel it.
It all began in the early 1970s when Mahar Tumber and his family, devout Sikhs, owned and grew peaches on this land. Sarjeet and her children remember Mahar as a man of great faith.
He loved God.
He was a gentleman's gentleman, and with that came his spirituality and his belief in God.
During that time, the church had difficulty locating the right piece of property to build a house of worship known as a stake center that could accommodate several congregations with enough room left over to include softball fields. Mr. Tumber was not in the market to sell, but that changed when he was approached by the church.
When he walked in to our house through the slide door and said, "We sold the property to the Mormon church," and he had the biggest smile on his face and was so happy. He thought it was a blessing to have a religious organization as an anchor to our property.
For nearly 50 years, that relationship has grown in respect and admiration on both sides.
There's a special spirit associated with their faith and our faith merging together.
The roots are established here for this place, this location, and what's surrounding it. And with the new temple, it's just deeper roots.
As with the Tumbers and their Latter-day Saint neighbors, a similar friendship is formed between the church and the Yuba Sutter community at large.
This is a small town. We can't do it without each other, and our faith community is actually in an uptick. We're excited. We're excited about the new temple.
That bond of fellowship exemplified in the outpouring of service in May. More than a dozen different faith and charity organizations helped dismantle and repurpose valuable material from the Yuba City Stake Center, ensuring it has another chance to benefit others in the community.
Really, the neat part about it is that even though the building's going away, a piece of it is living on in more than a dozen churches and then several nonprofits and schools.
We want to give some of what we are to others, and this in some ways symbolizes that.
These solid wood doors and cabinets are on their way to the Habitat for Humanity's Restore. Most of these will go directly on the floor to be sold at modest prices to help fund the construction of new homes.
We're probably dealing with $10,000 or $20,000 worth of basic materials because it's in really good condition. So it's going to benefit probably the next 4 families that we're putting into homes. We're really excited about that.
This project is not unusual for the Twin Cities of Marysville and Yuba City. It's the result of a remarkable concept that dates back several years and forged out of love and friendship. The Yuba Sutter Community Task Force.
What has been the most successful are the relationships that we've built. We know each other, we trust each other. It's so easy to make something happen.
We walked the halls with about 12 to 14 different pastors and organizations, and they made a list of the things that they would like, and that was a cherished experience.
Gwen Ford was part of that group as the church administrator for one of the oldest African American churches in California, dating back to the Gold Rush era.
We are planning to start a couple of nonprofits, economic development and education.
The Bethel AME Church does a lot with very little, and why these folding chairs, chalkboards, and display stands and cases are a welcome addition to the church's community efforts.
We can't afford to buy this stuff.
This stone bench will also complement the church's entrance.
There, that's good. Yeah. It's not an overabundance of things, but it's the exact things that we need.
The Yuba City Stake Center's baby grand piano is exactly what the Faith Lutheran Church needed, and will now accompany worship services and chorale performances in its sanctuary.
We're not a money-making church with our concerts, but we certainly want to serve the community. So I was very happy for the church to offer that for us.
Pastor Jim Carpenter says he was divinely inspired to create a church and event center as a refuge for the community.
It's about our common ground and what we're doing, the change that we want to see in our culture, our community, our society.
He says it was a tender mercy and a literal answer to prayer when he got a call from his Latter-day Saint friends. His newly organized church needed chairs. Lots of chairs.
What we need is the convenience of the folding chairs, and not only the folding chairs, but the carts to stack it up and make a smooth turnaround.
And smaller items too, but pricey to purchase on a ministry's budget.
My wife had just made a list and said, Lord, we need water pitchers and we need salt and pepper shakers. I said, I will take those. My faith grew immediately.
What was cultivated by a gracious peach grower more than 40 years ago has borne amazing fruit and promises so much more to Latter-day Saints and their friends and neighbors as they say goodbye to an old friend.
This building is going to live on in so many different places. As this building is taken down and becomes a temple, to me it represents we gave them a piece of the temple.